In this video, I'm going to talk about the difference between mystical experiences of meditation, psychedelics versus enlightenment. Moment-to-moment description of the full natty state, how to do self-inquiry, to drop the ego once and for all, and what is truth, love, God, and death, why it's important to ultimately transcend the entire paradigm of spirituality. See, before awakening, you're in a separate state, the egoic state. Or when you thought that your thoughts are real, now that's an outer state of consciousness. It's insanity. Psychotic. Now during awakening, you experience all those mystical states, when your consciousness explodes the universe, divine unity. Now that's an outer state of consciousness. 99% of what you hear and read in the spiritual marketplace still belongs to this stage. Now after awakening, for the first time you access the natural state, and that is an unaltered state of consciousness. Now the natural state is deeper than any mind-blowing experiences you can have. There's no more lenses of perception. Even the experiencer is dissolved. Now there's no levels to this thing because all levels of consciousness still belongs to the dream state. See, a big self is not no self. Now for those who's only experienced the ego state and the mystical experiences are always going to confuse enlightenment with outer states of consciousness. I want more, give me more cosmic bliss. Now there's a quantum difference between you as a separate entity experiencing the divine versus the infinite apprehending itself, eternity gazing back at itself, the universe fucking itself without any lubes or a condom. There's a world of difference between momentarily transcendence of the self versus the permanent dropping away of the self. Now the former is quite common these days. They're peak experiences induced by meditation or psychedelics, but the latter is a realization, and that's rare. Although it's what's always been the case for everyone. It's the deepest dimension of every being. In this dark light of the Absolute, transcends but includes all particular experiences in finite forms. And now you're truly unilocal. You're nowhere, everywhere, but also somewhere. You're nobody, everybody, and somebody. You're nothing, everything, and also something. And that there are no things, only interconnectedness and interrelations. See, even consciousness is not a primordial substrate. It's a process, just like other objects, where the witness, the witnessing, and the witnessed simultaneously and codependently arising, and neither has an inherent existence. See, clinging on to a universal mind still leads to suffering. You gotta go beyond both the individual and the collective mind. Be that source which manifests both. That's the difference between the majestic contraction and expansion of the same sensation and energy. The dissolution of ego is awakening. Dissolution of even quote-unquote God is enlightenment. Everybody wants to be a spiritual Kant, but nobody wants to fully wake up.
Take my mind and take my pain, like an empty bottle takes the rain, and here.
You're gonna die over and over and over again. You're dying into the ordinary, moment by moment. You're dying into the extraordinary, moment by moment. See, most mystical experiences are the byproduct of the dissolution of the separate self. When you're peeling up the layers and layers of the mind, even jhanas. We tend to confuse the side effect with the goal. Now, what happens when you have a glimpse of reality before you have completely dissolved separation is that you tend to project whatever shadows and beliefs, past experiences onto the infinite. Whether it's, oh, I'm a great meditator, or I'm God, or this is what I think is the truth to reality. You think you're moving forward, but you're just actually piling on more conditionings. See, if the character responses to this glimpse is bliss or ecstasy, that's your spiritual high. If the character responses to this opening is disgust, fear, and confusion, that's your dark night of the soul. They're two sides of the exact same coin. If you're still experiencing Kundalini energies, then you still haven't completed the circuits. After it's all said and done, even the great meditator can't jhana anymore because nothing can touch the infinitude of the full nadi state. It's like you're constantly in a state of samadhi. See, once all your chakras open up, you're not going to feel them anymore. See, realization does not exclude all the previous stages. In fact, all experiences cannot be manifested even more purely without the experiencer. Completely vanishing and dissolving into the fabric of reality. And you're so immersed in the present moment that even the power of now doesn't exist. There's no past, there's no future. Every moment, when you're truly in the present moment, is disjointed. It's disjointed. And every moment is complete. Totally encapsulated within itself so that it's totally eternal and timeless. It's absolutely beautiful. If I don't put my lens of perception back on it, this lens of perception could be anything from emptiness to bicycle to Louisa coffee over there, or God consciousness, green and pink. If I don't put the mind back on like just a funny wardrobe, I can't tell the difference between anything. It's just, I think it's just this one big blob of infinity. I think that's how babies see the world. And it's fucking, it's like a natural, permanent LSD or mushroom trip. Except again, it goes beyond psychedelic trips.
Take my past and take my sins, like an empty sail takes the wind, and
and you feel like everything in this field of experience is penetrating itself so thoroughly that there is no space for the separate self to existing, see? It's this gapless, seamless hole, and it's not coming in and out of some source or background. That's just, again, projections of the separated state, see? It's just colors and shapes and form, vibrations, sensations. Extremely, extremely immediate, spontaneous. See, without a perceiver anywhere in the head or outside the head or in the body perceiving anything, our sensations know themselves or comprehend themselves. Looking at the clouds right now, it's in the same space as my face from the absolute perspective, because it's the mind that gives rise to time and distance. God itself would not label itself as this or that. You're not going to ask trees or birds or dogs, what is awareness? Or do you feel that you are aware? No, they have an experience. Even the air in between objects is infinitely full and made up of the exact same no thing as the sky, the leaves, even the rocks. The body, the hair, the eyeballs, the teeth, the tongue, the livers, the thoughts, the feelings, the memories, the traumas, the fucked upness, the perfectness, the limitedness, the unlimitedness, the perfection, the imperfection, all of it. All of it. They're only reflections, but no mirror. Now, when you move around the world as the world, without a center point, solidity, or any sense of separation, it feels like you don't have a body or a mind, but the entire universe is your boundless Dharma body. When you walk, it's just the universe walking. It doesn't feel like you're moving or going anywhere, but from another perspective, every part within this whole is codependently originating to make every single thought, and movement, and action absolutely perfect. So living life in a natural state, it's almost like you're permanently in a state of cessation or nibbana. You're truly gone, yet fully present. That's why cessation, the highest meditative attainment, is such an important practice. Because the purest unfabricated state is unconsciousness. But see, death is not the point. It's to live life to the fullest while being dead. Show me a mystical experience. If it's not right here, right now, for everybody, since the day you were born, even before that, and when you die and after that, then it's not it. In the full natty state, you have the reflexivity to be a god, a human being, or a monkey. But you have to be nothing before you can be everything, or else you're gonna run into trouble. And in place of this absence is the manifestation of the entire existence that goes beyond existence and non-existence, form and emptiness. And nirvana is samsara. You gotta transcend even the transcendental and see that those different modes of existence are just different reconfigurations of the same transient, empty sensations. But to truly realize this at the experiential level, one has to dissect and dissolve all experiences from the most divine to the most mundane, down to the atomic level, and then vanish into the singularity prior to the Big Bang and Big Crunch. See, like I said in one of my earlier stories, once you really embody it, understand something, you don't see it anymore. So if you still think that, if you're one of those God people, if you're still thinking that, oh, everything is God, or you have the thought that, oh, I am God, then you haven't become God. You haven't embodied it. God hasn't been embodied to be so thoroughly that it's you. You're still thinking that, right? Just like if you truly found the self, like an eyeball that can't see itself, but it sees everything else. If you truly found the true self of no self, you can't experience or even see it. That's why you can never understand the mind with the mind. It's only by dissolving the self to the higher perspective of no mind that you can truly understand the self. By that time, the self would disappear. See, because you can't kill the ego with the ego, because that which tries to kill the ego is ego. The only way is to see through it by loving and accepting and expressing every particle of it until the separate self dissolves into love. And to love is to die, and to die is to manifest all of reality. And this is the deepest form of love there is, going beyond the fleeting emotions and passion and bliss of the character, independent of the conditions of even trying to be a compassionate person. And this is what Osho calls a cold love. See the paradox. is that after you transcend the desire to help yourself and other people, that's when true compassion arises spontaneously, without any feels. And this is the difference between a bodhicitta, arhat, and Buddhahood, which is your true nature. So the former is still stuck on the ground of love and compassion, and the arhat is still tripping over nirvana and obsessing over death and nothingness. The full nadi state is the combination, the merging and transcendence of both being and non-being, love and death. And here all stages are void. The only way to move on to the next level is to dissolve and absorb the current one. That's why self-inquiry, the whole process of it is to disidentify every stratum of the dream state. You simply disidentify and objectify everything you experience, everything that you can witness, look at, perceive, experience, be aware of, and then simply note it as not self. Whatever can be observed and objectified cannot possibly be the subject. If you can be aware of awareness, that's not it. If you can experience nothingness or God, that's not it either. So if everything in your field of experience can be objectified, then where, when, who, and what are you? But see, without dissolving the center of solidity, using vipassana or abiding in infinite consciousness using do-nothing meditation, it's very difficult to take self-inquiry to the endpoint. So any solidity that's left in your field of experience can still be looked at, or is mistaken to be the one that's looking, see? Thus reinforcing and creating the duality between the witness and the witness, the one asking the question and the answers. So insights and wisdoms are the uncovering of what's already the case. I always say that your awareness becomes panoramic. Well, is the world 360? If yes, then you are 360 because you are the world.
He's afraid to go to Vipassana. Let's make her.
To fully embody spirituality and the fruits on the path is to let go of the whole notion of spirituality.
Free the curry.
这个就是我们的主打，就是只要有消费拉面、咖喱饭的。
See, spirituality is the program of all programs, but it also must self-destruct for you to return to the natural state. And for a lot of very serious seekers, it's the last layer of conditions. See, because ultimately there's no such thing as spiritual knowledge. Quote unquote truth is the end of knowledge, end of mind. And that's freedom, brah.